All right, you guys, welcome back to the boxing live Q&A live stream. On the Saturdays, we've got the boxing home workout, and then so today, Sundays for the next few weeks, we are going to do a live Q&A, and I'll be answering your questions as best I can, and maybe even bouncing some of the questions off of you guys, because I know we have some good authority out there, some people out there who really know their stuff. So good morning, everyone, or wherever you are, Mega Ultimate Master, Elevated Squirrel, Merrick, Blink, Jamil. Morning, you guys. Mr. Anderson, Snow White, how you doing? Jagger Move, what's going on? What's going on, you guys? So hopefully you got some questions, and we'll have a discussion. Hopefully I've got some answers for you. Somebody asked, should I give up my studies for boxing? Absolutely not. Well, it depends. It depends on how far you're going in the game and how successful you are. If you watch my video that I did with Cody Crowley, even he, who had like a stellar boxing career, struggled in the beginning when he went from amateur to pro. So it's not always easy. It's very difficult going from amateur to pro because the promoters, they've got a huge pool of boxers to choose from. So it's really hard to separate yourself unless you're like an Olympian or like a gold medalist, or they really scouted you young. So the promotion and money is the hardest part. So I would say always keep your schooling going. What's going on, everyone? Good morning. Make sure to hit a thumbs up on the video. You know, do all that kind of stuff. Thumbs up. Subscribe, all that kind of stuff is very important. We're doing these live Q&As here on the Sunday. So did boxing take my hair? No, I took my own hair, or my genetics took my hair. You know, boxing didn't take it. So unfortunately, I wish boxing took my hair, because then when you stop boxing, then it would come back. Okay, so Blink asked advice for shin splints. Now I had shin splints once in my life, and they're brutal because you can't skip and you can't run. So the key, again, when you get any lower body injury, is that you've got to maintain your overall cardiovascular, but you got to maintain your boxing. So the amount of footwork and foot type activity that you're not doing, you've got to make up for that in your upper body. So first thing is make sure that you're maximizing your head movement and your punch output so that doesn't come down. Then the second thing is you need to find sort of another alternative. For me, swimming and cycling were excellent alternatives to keep my cardiovascular levels up, to keep that explosiveness. And swimming helped more with the breathing and the relaxation and the endurance, and cycling as well. And the one thing about cycling, which is good if you get on a spinning bike, is you can do sprints, very intense sprints. If you get on a spinning bike, you can work those like a hit style, and that simulates the boxing experience. So sometimes you just got to wait till things heal. And with shin splints, I would say, make sure that the rest of your boxing stays on the level. Upper body, punching, head movement, defense, visualization, all that stays on the level. And then cycling or swimming would be good alternatives for you guys. All right, what's going on, you guys? Great to see all of you here. How's the sound today? Some of you yesterday were, I had that sound all messed up, but I got a better setup today. And so hopefully that's working. What are some good boxing gyms in Toronto? It depends where you live in Toronto, but Stockyards is pretty good. Stockyards is pretty good. Atlas is still around. Atlas is pretty good. There's Cabbagetown. If you can get out to Cabbagetown, that's pretty good. And then Huff in Mississauga. Huff is pretty good. So you can check out those. And I think there's some gyms out in Scarborough and some new ones, but I don't know them because they weren't around when I was coming up. So I don't know the names of them. All right, you guys, let's see what else you guys got. Let's see what else you guys got that I can help you with. Sometimes I'll just skip the question because maybe the answer doesn't come to me. I wish I had all the answers, King Oz, you spar more than you train. My opinion is that that's a good thing to do if you can sustain it and if you are not getting injured. And the only thing about sparring is that if you're sparring a lot can be the best training. In fact, they were saying that Tyson back in the day, he would be sparring 10 rounds a day. So the only problem with sparring is that it can be taxing on you taking all those shots. So you take a lot of shots, and if you think about your punch output in sparring is not like on a bag. Like on the bag, you literally can throw 200 punches around, but in sparring, you won't be. So sparring is great for the raw, real experience, but it's hard to give yourself the same output. So as long as you're making up for that output on the bag when you do get on the bag or when you do get on the pads, that you make up for it. And the other thing as well is sometimes when you're sparring, if you sparring with a friend, you get into that comfortable zone, that 80% zone. And so it depends on the kind of sparring you have. If you get into that 80% zone where you're not going all out, and then when you go to the real fight, if you're not ready for that, then it might be a tough jump. So I say that, spar as much as you can, but make sure that you're on the bag simulating intensity, getting the intensity of a fight. Otherwise, when you get to the real fight where the intensity is coming at you, you're not going to be ready for it. So I think it's a good plan, but just make sure on the bag and on the rest of your training that you're going intense enough to get that feeling. Alwyn J, how do I improve punching speed? Well, let me ask you guys a question. Let me ask you guys that question. I'll put it back to you. How do you improve punching speed? What do you think are some of the best ways to improve punching speed? Let's see I want to hear what some of you guys got to say out there. Punch with weight, that's one way. Punch out drills, yeah, I like that. Punch out drills, hand weights, punch faster. Yes. Punch with light weights. Speed bag, shadow box with light weights. Use 5-pound dumbbells. Maximum output mitt training. Yes, yes. Jason, that's good. Relax your shoulders. Yes, that's good. Okay, so we got a couple things that everyone said it's all good. Number one is punch out drills. You got to increase your volume. You got to increase your total number of punches. So if you think about how many punches you're throwing now, think about how many rounds you do now, and think about how many rounds you do in a week. And if you can take that number of rounds up a level, throwing more punches is going to make you more efficient, more technical. That's going to increase your speed. Somebody else had said to punch faster. Absolutely. So you don't want to punch fast every punch of every workout. You're going to drain yourself. But at least 2 workouts a week, you're going to be focused on pushing your hand speed. Whatever your hand speed level is, you want to see if you can push right to the edge of that and get that feeling and get your body, tell your body that it needs to process speed at this pace or faster. So that's another suggestion. And what somebody else had said is to relax your shoulders. And this is a video that I'm going to be posting this week on how it's not just about your output, but it's about eliminating things that slow you down. It's not just about breaking through barriers, but eliminating roadblocks. And so relaxation and relaxing your shoulders, if you can constantly get that into your body, is one of the best ways to eliminate a blockage on your punches. Now, punching with weights, I'm mixed on that, but I do punch with weights. One of the things I like about punching with, let's say, 1-pound dumbbells is it gets you used to holding the gloves. It's more experience of you holding the gloves. And it can also strengthen your shoulders in certain ways that may make your position a little bit better. So I would say punching with weights is something that you want to do a little bit, maybe a round or 2 every workout, but more of your punching will be what the other guys had said: high volume, speed, and relaxation. All right, so let's see what else you guys got. I appreciate the feedback too as well from you guys. I appreciate the feedback, and because I know a lot of you have experience out there as well. Okay, here's a good question. Does weightlifting increase punching power? And this is something that you have to tackle. You can't just say yes or no, because the answer is 2 things. Number one, it's yes, up to a point. And number 2 is it depends on who you are. So if you are already near your max strength, let's say you're a bodybuilder or weight trainer, you've been weight training a long time, and you're already near your max strength, gaining more strength is not going to do much for your punching power. And the other thing is, when I say it's up to a point, you have to look into something called rate of force development. Okay. Now, when you throw a punch, it's a light object, you're moving fast. It's not like you're taking a bench press or a bar, a heavy object, and moving it. Now, think of it like this. When I throw this punch fast, from the start of the technique to the end of the technique is only maybe 1/10 of a second. Okay, it's only 1/10 of a second, or maybe it's less, actually. It's less than that. In that 1/10 of a second is not enough time to recruit a lot of muscle fibers. It's not enough time for that your body can recruit the amount of muscle fibers that give you maximum strength. So when I bench press or lift something heavy, I go, or I go, and all of a sudden the muscle fibers come in because they have time. They have time to come in. And that's something called rate of force development, or ROFD. And it's something that you might want to spend some time researching and studying on your own. For example, with a javelin, when a javelin thrower releases the javelin is released on average like 0.16 seconds from the full reach to the execution. It's 0.16 seconds. So there's only so much muscle fiber that can be recruited. So weight training is going to help you because the amount of muscle fibers that are recruited, you want to make them stronger, you want to make them faster, you want to make them more powerful. But it won't be the same like a bench press where all the fibers are cut and you're getting that execution. So then the final thing I want to say about that is that when you throw a punch, the initial energy that you have to overcome is the start. It's like you have a rope and you're snapping that rope. You have to overcome. And then after that is a release. So you have to be good or strong on the isometric or the eccentric portion of strength, which is not the same as benching or whatever. But when you weight train, when you strength train, you will strengthen the eccentric and the isometric portion of your muscles, of your ability to execute a force. You will strengthen that, but only to a point. So if you ask, does weight training help for punching power? The answer is yes, up to a point. And then beyond that point, it's going to be more technical efficiency. It's going to be more neural recruitment. It's going to be more speed of execution. And then the second thing is it depends on who you are. If you are already an advanced weightlifter, you might not get much more benefit. But if you were a pure beginner in weight training, then you're going to get a lot of initial benefit to start. So I hope that really helps with that question, because that one I've taken some time to really dig into to try to figure out on my own. All right, what's going on, you guys? Let's see what other questions you guys got out there. Hopefully something that I have for you. Hopefully I have something for you. So Andre asks, what made me start boxing? And the main reason why I started boxing is because I wanted to have the experience of a fight without having to go have a street fight. And I was already taking martial arts, but martial arts, I was taking karate. It wasn't giving me that experience that I needed. I always felt like it wasn't real. Unlike, for example, if you take BJJ or MMA, from day one, it's real. Like you can feel it. Like you get in there and you're rolling or you're grappling. It's very real. Same with boxing. Doesn't mean that it's the end all and be all of self-defense. But I think that ultimately when it comes down to it, it's fear. It's fear of something happening to you, fear of not fulfilling your potential. It comes down to being unsatisfied with yourself, that maybe you're not facing reality, the reality of a situation. And so boxing is a way to test yourself. It's a way to see, okay, if I apply myself, do I have what it takes, right? And once you spar and get in there and box, then all of a sudden you start to develop a confidence because you think, oh, hey, I can handle this. I can deal with this. And you don't necessarily have to go out and get in a fight or pick on somebody. You test yourself in the ring. So boxing for me came from fear, and it also came from a discontent. Like I'm unsatisfied and I had to go test myself, you know? So hopefully, you know, for you guys, boxing is something that is therapeutic, something that sort of relaxes you and gives you a peace. That's what it did for me. All right. So somebody asked about my apps. I'll just mention quickly about my apps is I've got 4 apps out there. And what I want to probably do is merge them into one app because I'm finding it. If any of you ever develop an app, you'll find that developing it and coming up with the idea is one thing, and then maintaining it is another whole problem altogether. So, because it's expensive to maintain it. So I'm probably going to merge them all into one app, and that'll be easier to upgrade and maintain it. And it's because it's just me and one developer. So sometimes when you're working with one developer, you're only as good as that developer and the ideas. You need a team, and that gets expensive. So I'll be making some updates to my app and my apps, probably merging them into one, and hopefully that can give you a better experience because they haven't really changed much in the last couple of years. So I need to look into keeping them fresh as time goes on. Sean Fife. Sean Fife asks about having a good chin. Is it down to genetics? Is it down to conditioning? So let me hear what you guys think about a good chin. Do you think that it's conditioning, or do you think that it's genetic, or what do you think it is? What do you guys think about a good chin? How do you develop that? Yeah, boxing for life shape. He didn't get hit, but sometimes he did get hit. It just wasn't so perfectly flush. But as he got older and his conditioning went down, then all of a sudden his chin was a little more suspect. But I think it's a bit of both because, for example, you look at somebody like Tyson. Tyson, you could never flash knock down Tyson. Like in order to knock Tyson down, you had to beat him up over rounds and rounds and rounds and beat him up, and eventually you could knock him down. So I think that it comes down to neck strength, neck conditioning, because the stronger your neck, the less your head rattles, and then it doesn't send that signal to your brain to shut you down. So it comes down to neck exercises. It also comes down to conditioning, because when you're conditioned, then there's more oxygen going to your brain, more oxygen through your body, and it just doesn't seem to shut you down the same way. I know that when I was in better shape, I took some shots that I thought would knock me out. And what happens is when you take a shot, you go black. You go black, and then you're almost gone for like a quarter of a second, then you come back. And then, or sometimes your knees wobble too. And when I was in better shape, I recovered a lot better. But at the same time, I think it's conditioning. I think it's genetics, because I have a friend that I used to spar all the time, and he's not in really particularly great shape. And he's also doesn't have the thickest neck, but this guy never gets rattled, never gets rattled. He can take a ton of shots. So it's a bit of both, I would say. All right, Linares or Lomachenko? I don't think Lomachenko can be beat. I don't think he can be beat right now. I don't even know who could beat him. Maybe if a prime Pacquiao came back and then went down in weight, that would maybe be the way to beat him. But yeah, King Oz says a good point. Sorry, about taking a shot. Is a lot of it is mental, and a lot of it is being able to see the shot too. So sometimes, again, it's the shot you don't see. So many factors there. A lot of it is vision. But Linares or Lomachenko, let me ask you guys a question. Who could beat Lomachenko? And if anyone could beat Lomachenko, who? Okay, not Sugar Ray Robinson, all right? Past, present, or future. Yeah, who do you think could beat Lomachenko if it was possible? Gervonta. Ah, all right. Crawford. Crawford. Yeah, Crawford might have it. He has that rangy reach. You got Diaz. Tank Davis. Tank Davis. That's a possibility. Roy Jones. Yeah, that's true. Okay, Floyd. Yeah, Floyd might have been able to do it because he might have been able to pick apart from that long range. A prime Pac-Man. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. But let's say Prince Nassim. Yeah, you think? Maybe. I don't know. Barrera made Nassim look bad. Pacquiao, Nassim. Yeah, but, you know, awkwardness does make for Sweet Pea. Yeah, Deshad, you said it. Sweet Pea could probably do it. Mikey Garcia. Nassim will get slapped. Purnell. Yeah, you said it. You said it. Me, yeah, I wish I'd be out there right now. Okay. So somebody asked this. Okay, here's a serious question. I should probably do a video on this one day. What are your thoughts on Parkinson's and Alzheimer's for boxing? Now, here's the thing. I think that everybody who gets involved in boxing knows that they're taking a risk. I don't think that anybody gets involved and doesn't think that they're taking a risk in some way. They know that, you know, that there's a chance of taking damage. Now, the other thing of it is, even in my own family, there are people who have, you know, been afflicted with Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, never boxed a day in their life, never ever boxed. So it can happen to you even without the boxing. But based on the research, boxing and taking shots to the head is going to accelerate the process that you can end up with it well from seeing Muhammad Ali, and we also know from Freddie Roach as well. So I think that it's going to, if you put yourself in a position where you're going to go far, where you're going to go a pro, or when you go pro and you're going to put yourself on the line, then you are taking a risk. And there's no doubt that you can be much earlier in life than if you didn't box. Then again, it comes down to the question, what are you personally after? What do you really want in life? Because I think that everybody who takes on boxing knows that this is a risk they're taking. So I think the worst people out there are the ones who judge you from afar and they would never box. And I think that the reason why they would never box is because they're just scared and they can't come to terms with that fear. You know, the other thing is that for boxing, not everybody wants to go pro and make a career out of it. A lot of people just want to have a few fights, develop themselves, face the fear, get through the experience, and then get out of the sport. And so that's something that you're weighing the pros and the cons, and you're saying, you know what, I'm not going to go and get hit like Muhammad Ali. I'm going to have maybe 5 fights, 10 fights or whatever, get the experience, and then I'm going to go and then have a career and a family and do something else. So in summary, there's no doubt that cumulative shots to the head are going to accelerate the Alzheimer's or Parkinson's process. But for most people, unless you're making a career out of it, it's not going to be an issue. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's your freedom of choice to choose what you want to do with your life and what you want to do with your body, you know, provided you're not hurting anyone else. All right, so let's see. Let's see what else you guys got. That's right. You have, you know, King Oz says he boxes to teach his daughter self-defense. Everybody has their own personal reasons. You have your own personal reasons, right? It's not a black and white situation. It's areas of gray. It's like joining the military. Some people are going to say you're crazy, and for some other people, that's just something they got to do. Oh, somebody asked me this. This is a good question. What do I think about Evander Holyfield? First thing I will say is that Holyfield had an amazing game plan. He did have an amazing game plan. And that was that he actually didn't run from Tyson. He didn't back up. He didn't dance. He actually came close to him. He was kind of right on the edge of him. And so Tyson couldn't get that run down momentum. Of course, at the same time, we know that that wasn't the same high output Tyson. Tyson was in that fight, it was just loading, but he was like bam, 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 bam. There were no left hooks. It wasn't his usual 4 and 5 punch combos. So we know that that wasn't really a prime Mike Tyson. But having said that, Holyfield had this one counter, and if you watch that fight, it is magic. Every time Tyson would throw the jab right hand, he would block, he would roll off it and hit the uppercut as Tyson leaned in on that right hand. He had the timing right down. So, you know, the thing is that Tyson could have been better. There's no question Tyson could have been better. It wasn't his best, but Holyfield did have the game plan to beat that Tyson on that night. He had the game plan. Now in the second fight, I was hoping that Tyson was gonna do it because he looked a little more lively, and he won the third round, cleared the bite round. He won the round. So you know, it's too bad about that. But that's just one of those things that, you know, if you're a Tyson fan like me, you wish it could have been different, but it's just, you just got to deal with it. Mm-hmm. All right, let's see what else you guys got going on out there. We got some good people on the house. Good questions. Oh yeah, you guys watched the Broner Vargas thing. I don't like watching Broner. I don't know. It's like a wannabe Mayweather who couldn't quite pull it off. You know. So my thoughts on Floyd Mayweather. I mean, I think Floyd is a lot better than a lot of people give him credit for. Especially, I know, because it's easy to hate on him because he doesn't give you the kind of fights that you want. I think Floyd Mayweather is one of the best boxers ever, no question. I hope he just retires. I hope he doesn't come back and tries to fight. I hope he leaves it as is. I will say that that as much as I like Floyd, he's one of my favorite. I think he lost the Pacquiao fight. I think he lost, you know, like maybe a close decision. I would have given Pacquiao a few more rounds. I think when you watch that fight over again, a lot of Floyd's shots were glancing blows, and Pacquiao did better than it. Pacquiao could have done even better, but he did better than it appeared when I first watched it. When I first watched it, it looked like Floyd was in total control. And but then when I watched it the second time, I realized Pacquiao did do all right. He didn't do too bad. So, you know, other than that, I'd put Floyd, you know, top five of all time in my opinion. And but I still think that Pacquiao got him that night, edged him out. But this is a debate that we could talk about all night. The Mayweather thing. All right, Quentin asks, what is the minimum amount, or what should you train per week? And so I would say that you're looking at a few things. If you're training just for fun, then 3 days a week is okay. It's okay to build your skills and develop some skills. If you are training for a fight and the fight is further than 3 months out, like let's say the fight is in November or something like that, then 4 days a week is okay. Once you get to 8 weeks, 10 weeks from the fight, you want to start going 5 days a week. If you are getting ready for a fight. If you are a top amateur, then you're looking at 6 days a week. Not every training day is a hard day. Not every day is a hard day. Some days are intense speed. Some days are long and drawn out. But remember, like, boxing is a skill. Boxing, it's not like weight training or strength training or just straight conditioning. Boxing is a skill. So even if you're in the gym and you're just seeing things and working on sequences and visualizing and working your techniques, you're still getting a lot of progress done. So I would say that it's 3 days a week for casual, 4 days a week for competitor, but you're not fighting for like 8 to 10 weeks. 5 days a week if you're coming on a fight within 8 weeks. And if you're in amateur elite, like 10 fights or more, then you're looking at 6. You're looking at 5 to 6, depending on the week. So here's another question a lot of people ask about turning pro. And I think there's a misconception. Turning pro in boxing is You could go straight to becoming a pro with no amateur fights. All you need to do is get your pro card. I mean, you have to apply for the license. You don't need to do anything to turn pro. And sometimes that's what they like, and that's what they have, because they have prospects, you know, pros that they're going to promote, and they put them against what's called a tomato can, or, you know, a fighter that is easy to be beat. So you don't really need anything to turn pro. But if you're going to be a good pro, then I would recommend that, you know, at least, it depends. I recommend at least 40 to 50 fights. And I would recommend, you know, at least you have a high winning record, let's say like an 80% win record. And then you want to have experience against the top amateurs in your region, whether it's be provincial or national. You want to get that experience, because they are the fighters you'll be going up against, but tougher, because they'll be in the pro game. So, you know, for when it comes to turning pro, you don't need anything special to turn pro. But if you're going to turn pro, you want to make sure that you have all the advantages and all the experience behind you. And you want to test yourself in the amateurs before you turn pro. You don't want to just turn pro. But there are no requirements, actually, believe it or not. There are no real requirements. Yeah, somebody asked, N. Sabanur, how do you deal with embarrassment in the ring? Now, I'll tell you what, there are two types of people, or well, it could be both. I'm not going to say you're either or, but there are people who fear getting hit. They actually fear the punishment. And there are people who fear embarrassment or looking bad. Now, for me personally, I don't actually fear the hit. And, you know, for some reason, maybe it's because I got beat up as a kid, or I don't know what it is, but I do fear the embarrassment. The last thing I fear being fatigued and losing and getting embarrassed way more than I fear getting hit. Now, I think that with any kind of fear, you have to think that the key to dealing with fear is preparation. It's preparation. That you have to start thinking about fear way in advance. So I don't really think that you're ever going to get over it if you've got it. It's like how that saying, you know, fatigue makes cowards of us all. You know, you can be great, and then you can come back 5 years later after you've been great and not be in great shape and suddenly feel fear and fatigue. So it can happen to anybody with all levels of experience. So I think that the only way I ever dealt with fear successfully was by training so hard that I knew that I gave it everything, that I knew that this person who was facing me was going to have to face the best me. And so you have to deal with it in advance in your training. You almost have to torture yourself or punish yourself in training. And that seems to put you in a different state of mind. A very serious, calm, serious state of mind, where you all of a sudden the fear of embarrassment doesn't really cross your mind. So you have to manage that in advance by training, punishing yourself. Punish yourself in the gym. You have to deal with fear by preparing for it. All right. Yeah, that's right. King Oz says, how do you beat fear? You got to face it. You got to face it, right? But the way you face it is a little bit at a time, you know, sparring, more intense workouts, have a fight, sparring, have another fight, you build up to it. But it might never totally go away. That's the hardest part about boxing, is the fear almost never totally goes away. My pleasure, my pleasure. Somebody asked, tips for southpaws. Now there are a lot of tips that I have for southpaws, or like that I have on my channel. There are a lot of, but I'd say, like, when you're a southpaw, my opinion is that you have to experiment. You have to test things out. You have to reflect on what you're doing. Because me, as an orthodox facing a southpaw, first couple times I faced a southpaw, I was getting picked off all over the place, especially the jab. All my slip jabs and coming through, none of it worked. So it was the southpaws here, bam, and I was getting hit with the jab all the time. And I had to go back and think. I had to go back and think, okay, what was I doing? What are they doing to me? And then what can I do to make them feel like that will work, and then shut it down at the last second? So, you know, for example, if you throw a jab at a southpaw, they're going to knock it down and hit you. So what I would do in the next time I would throw a quick jab and slip, and then that jab would go by me, and then I would throw. So I think that if you're a southpaw, that of course there's going to be the standard advice, right? You want to get the foot to the outside, you want to throw the straight lead left, you want to come over top with the right hook. There's going to be that kind of advice, but that advice is only just tactical on top of a base that you need. So what's going to make you a good southpaw fighter is if you're able to experiment with different things and then think through them and then reflect on them and then be able to adapt, so that you have 4, 5, 6 different things that you can do and that you're not one-dimensional. So as a southpaw, you got to experiment. You got to test things out and see how it works, and then you got to reflect on it. Yeah, Christopher said, what do you think about Lomachenko's mental training? Well, it's excellent. It's phenomenal. And actually, I want to do a video on the juggling, because I know how to juggle, but I don't know how to do this switch thing that he's doing. I'm practicing it right now so I can show you guys if I get it down. But the thing about, if you think about, well, an example is in baseball. In baseball, it's a story where they got the female underhand pitcher, and they got her throwing the ball against top major league players, and they couldn't hit it. They couldn't hit that ball because they're not used to that trajectory. So it turns out that with the way our visual works in sports is that once a ball or sort of an object leaves, we know that trajectory, and we're able to judge from the initial launch where it's going to be. And that's what starts to happen with punches. You start to see, right? So in this baseball example, once they figured it out, you know, her rhythm and her timing, then they were able to crack that ball out of the park. But it's same with punches, is that once you start to get used to seeing things and seeing patterns, then you start to elevate your IQ, your boxing IQ. Now, the other thing, though, is that with boxing, there's only so much physical training you can do until you have what's called, until your marginal, it's diminishing returns, right? Diminishing returns. So you put in 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, and then 6 hours. And then once you start putting in so many hours of training, your returns get worse and worse and worse. So what do you do at that point? Well, you have the whole mental faculty: thinking, focus, relaxation, awareness, right? So what I think Lomachenko is doing is he's pushing himself to the max physically, and then he's saying, well, you know what? I haven't maxed myself out mentally. So then he's taking the extra time he's got and then maxing himself out mentally. You know, can we prove that it's working? It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. But I think that if you're going to leave nothing to chance, then I think he's doing the right thing, because the other option would be to go what? Maybe go walk in the park, which he probably does anyway, or go watch TV. You know, he's maximizing every angle. And I think that if you want to leave nothing to chance, then that's the way you got to go with that. All right, so somebody asked about self-defense, martial art. And I'm going to do a video on this because I want to do a video on this. Now, there's no, in my opinion, the best, you got to look at self-defense in 2 ways. First of all, you look at the fighting side of it, all right? But the more important part is the mental side, because, and I have to say this because this is what's going to be in my video, is that if you are at the point where are about to get into a fight, then you have failed a lot of other steps along the way. There are other things wrong that could be fixed, okay? But let's just say you had to get into a fight. Let's just say you were like in a video game, and every day you had to fight your way out of a situation. I would pick MMA. No question. I would pick MMA because people will grab you, people will kick, people will elbow you, and you have to be ready for those type of situations. But I would also say that MMA still only goes so far. You got to be careful because there are people out there who will gouge your eyes, they bite you, they will, choke you with their fingers, they will hit you in the groin, and that might be more on the military side. So you would ultimate fighting on the street would be sort of like a military MMA combination, because even if you know MMA and you go up against someone who's nuts, like really violent, then they're going to be doing things to you that even MMA isn't preparing you for. So, but if I had to pick one martial art for self-defense, I would choose MMA. And the reason why I know that is because I've done a little bit of BJJ and MMA. And when they get a hold of you, boy, like if they're better than you and they get a hold of you, you are toast. Like you really are toast. It's especially even a wrestler. Like if they get past your hands and they get in on you, you are gonna get thrown to the ground. And it's happened to me. It's happened to me. And you feel good as a boxer. You go up against a wrestler and you're like a rag doll. You can't do anything. But at the same time, if you know boxing and you're up against those BJJ or you're up against MMA guys, and you can hit them first before they get in on you, they have no defense. So it goes both ways, and a good example to show that is Conor McGregor. You get the striking, you can take down the grapplers, or you get somebody who's an excellent grappler, like let's say GSP, in his middle or early days, it would take you right down. So number one, I would choose MMA. I think that military training is also really good. Then if I couldn't choose an MMA, then I would try to do like a boxing judo combo, boxing BJJ, or a Muay Thai judo combo. Try to get them both. But if you are going to do one or the other, you just have to realize that you are limited. You have to just accept the fact that if you are doing just grappling, a boxer might punch you out. Or if you are doing boxing and you get grabbed, it might be the end of you. So I think that you need it all if you really want to be ready. But when it comes to self-defense, most self-defense is visual, it's awareness, it's about how you carry yourself. That's most self-defense. An excellent martial art. It is so authentic, and and no gi, like you roll right away. But the one thing I didn't like about it is it's so easy to get injured, and so for me, anyways, I found it tough on the body. I was getting injured, so it all depends on who you're rolling with and how that's going for you. Yeah, that's true, right? Like that's Mr. Anderson says it right. Like most people out there don't really know how to fight. There's a lot of tough people that if you ever see them throw a punch, that it's almost funny, So if you know some boxing, that's the other thing why I want to talk about the psychological side. It's because most people who are going to pick a fight with you, 95% of them are not martial artists. They're just street scrappers, or they're just thugs, and they don't know that they're messing with the wrong person. If they actually knew you were a boxer, you stood sideways, they would probably find a way to get out of that fight. So if you take boxing, you're going to be okay. I agree with that for the most part, because most people out there, especially, you're not going to see an MMA fighter rarely picking fights on the street. It's just not something they're going to do. All right, let's see. We got about 15 minutes left. Let's see what else you guys got going on. Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of ignorant people out there. Who's this bald guy? Who are you, spit of fire? You better show me. You better have more hair than me if you're going to say something like that. All right, what else you guys got? What else you guys got? Somebody was saying that they got hit in the groin. Yeah, I know. I don't have a personal experience with that, thank God, but that's getting to the point of a medical issue. I don't have any advice for you there. Some of you guys in your questions, oh my God. This is funny. Do I believe fighters should avoid physical conflicts? Yeah, I think this is the one shift that's changed in my thinking, especially as you get older, and why you should avoid a physical confrontation is because if you really think about what you want out of life, let's say you want to have new experiences, you want to learn things, you want to have a nice social network. Let's say you want a lot of money, or you want a nice car. A street fight and a confrontation is not going to get you that. No matter who you smash, it will not get you that. Only in the ring with viewers and pay-per-view will you get that. So if you are going to fight, you better save it for the ring. If you're going to have a conflict on the street, it will not get you what you want out of life. It will bring your life down. Guaranteed it will bring your life down. And it takes a while to realize that you as one person with these two hands, you can only do so much yourself. You can't beat up. And then even if you beat up 30 people today, there's be 30 people tomorrow. It's not going to do anything for your life. But it takes a while to internalize that until you let it really sink in that if there's somebody over there causing me trouble, right? Okay, well, first of all, if I'm afraid, then that's my problem. That's my own problem. So you got to also recognize that some problems are already yours. This person is bothering me, but I'm afraid the fear is still my problem. I have to deal with fear. That's another problem altogether. But if let's say I don't have fear and I smash them and teach them a lesson, that's not going to elevate my life in any way. That's not going to make me enjoy meals with my family more. That's not going to allow me to travel the world. That's not going to allow me to have the car I want to have or go golfing or whatever it is you want out of life. So I would say that if you can avoid, that's the best plan for your life. That's the best, but it takes a while. When you're younger, it's hard to realize that. It takes a while for that to really sink in. Somebody asks, they have a fear. See, there's two ways in the ring. You either have a fear of hurting people, or you really want to hurt people. But with boxing is number one, can you deliver a shot to somebody? And that is one problem that a lot of people have. It's forget about the taking the punch. They don't want to deliver a punch. And the only way that I can give you advice on that is that you have to realize that when you are boxing somebody, they are there to develop themselves, right? Like people think that when you're boxing, that it means that you want to punish other people, but it's actually the opposite. It's the opposite. When you are boxing, you are basically saying, I want to be punished. I want to take the shot. You're volunteering yourself, because when you go to the boxing gym, especially when you're new, those people who are better than you are gonna lay the beats on you. You're volunteering yourself to get hit. Why? Because you want to develop yourself. You want to develop your self-esteem, your self-confidence. You want to develop your physical skills. You want to overcome the fear. So everybody who's there is there for self-development. Boxing is 99% training and 1% fighting. You put in 99% to get 1%. So when you're hitting somebody, you have to realize that you are helping them. You are doing them a favor. You are trying to help them get to where they want to be, because they've come to the gym looking for a result, looking for an experience. Unless you give them your best, you're not going to help them. Of course, at the same time, you got to control. If you see an open right hand, you don't have to go for it. You can maybe just touch it, or you can just work the body or something else. So, in sparring, you can still give it your best without really taking it to someone. You have to have control. But you got to remember that when you are getting in that ring, you are helping your brother or sister get what they want out of life. Chris, my pleasure. My pleasure. Mark asked about a speed agility. I'm definitely going to do one. I've got the ladders over there, and I've been doing ladder drills for years. So that's something that you can look out for probably in the next few weeks. You can look up. I'll be having that next couple weeks. Definitely going to do a ladder agility drill. Do I follow amateur boxing? No, unfortunately, I don't. I don't follow amateur boxing. Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, a lot of you guys are asking about the square stance and the bladed stance, and it's pretty straightforward. Is that the square stance allows you more options and more mobility both ways, and both hands are coming closer to the target. In other words, from back here and show that right hand that full turn. So it's the square stance is more on the offensive side, gives you more options for shifting and moving laterally and basically cutting off the ring. The narrow stance is better for defensive. It's better for guard. It's nice to set up the reach and be far. It's a little more in terms of controlling distance and being a little more defensive. You can still be offensive out of both, and you can still be defensive in a square stance, but the positioning is going to lead you more to one way or the other. If you're looking for pressure, cutting off the ring and mobility, you're looking at more of a square stance. If you're looking for controlling range and being defensive and picking your shots, then you're looking at a bladed stance. Right, like Cotto and Leonard. They have lateral flexibility with a squared stance. Exactly, exactly. Somebody asked, is skipping essential for boxing? Essential for boxing, but you got to ask yourself why you don't like it and why you don't do it. What happens, they've done research on a calf muscle in running, is that the calf muscle is not, when you're running, the calf muscle isn't actually going like this and flexing like as if like you're standing on your toes. When you land on a run, your calf muscle is isometrically flexed, but the fascia around the leg is giving you a spring action. So fascia in your calves and fascia in your legs develops a certain way when you box, and when you bounce, it gives you that rhythmic bounce. That's why somebody who's new to boxing, maybe let's say you play basketball and you're new to boxing and you may be good at jumping and moving, but you're not used to that little bouncy back and forth. It takes about 3 to 6 months to get that, for the fascia in your body to adapt and to get that. So usually with skipping and bouncing and springiness, it takes about 3 to 6 months before your body, your fascia and your legs turn over and you get, and it renews and you get that springiness. So I would say that if you don't like it, just be patient. Be patient. Give yourself about 3 to 6 months bouncing in your legs. All right, we got 5 more minutes, you guys. So, and again, if you're there, hit the like button on this. I really appreciate that. And hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Also, remember that precisionstriking.com is my website. Been there for years. And if you want to catch this later or go back and watch the old ones, then just go there and you'll see that on the live stream page. Also, I got a boxing weekly videos page where every week I choose, I think you guys might like, something on footwork, something on skills, and I put them there. So you might have already seen them on YouTube, but you don't have to search the internet. I take 5 that I think you might like, and I put them on my website. Okay. Somebody asked, when you throw the 1-2, do you step with both feet or you step with the front foot and the back foot, and why? This is more, how can I put it? How can I put it? This is more of a speed question. This is more of a speed question. The reason why, actually it's 2. It's a speed and it's a range question. First of all, if you have to close, so here, if I have to close the distance, right? Let me just show you this. If I have to close distance and I don't move this back foot, I just pivot, I can only go so far. But if I move my foot, I can go a little bit further. See? See? I can go further. So here, 1, 2, or 1, 2. Okay? So you have to understand that. That's first thing. When you move your back foot forward, it's a distance issue. It means that you are trying to close the distance by moving that back foot. When you hit with the jab, if you were already right in range, you could just pivot the back foot. You wouldn't need to step it. So that's number one. Number two is the speed of your hands when you're moving is determined by the speed of your feet. So in other words, if you can't get your foot there fast, your hand will go and you won't have ground under you. If you go before your foot gets there, then your hand has no base, has no power. So the faster you move your feet, the faster you're going to move your hands. So if you throw them at the same time, it means you're fully committed. It means you go boom, boom, right? You're fully committed to the shot. So sometimes you see boom, boom, it's sort of a little bit of a delayed reaction, and that can happen. So if you're not really fully committed. So the faster you want to throw, the faster your feet are going to go. If you're here, boom, and then oh, boom, then you can move your feet a little bit slower with a delay. So I guess the best way to answer that is to say that you will move your back foot when you want to get closer. If you don't need to get closer, you don't move your back foot. And the faster you want to throw the 1-2, the faster your feet have to go to get it done. Dilvin asks, 4 months into boxing, sparring lots, first amateur fight in June. So we got April, May, and June. I would say that that's okay. I mean, rule guideline is 6 to 9 months. 6 to 9 months. You have to know who you're sparring against. So if in your gym you're sparring against people who have 5 fights or more, and they can give you the experience that you're going to get in your first fight, and also if you're doing okay against them, like you're going 5 and 6 rounds and you're doing okay, then I think that you're ready. But if you are sparring other people with 1 or 2 fights and you guys are just kind of having fun light sparring, then you need more intensity. But I think that if you have 4 months solid training and your fight is in June, I think that's okay. That's right on the edge. That's right on the edge for what I would give it. I would prefer you go 9 months. You know, maybe I prefer you fight in maybe October, November, but June I think will be okay if your sparring is intense enough. Now, Best Guy says that they should do skipping at the beginning, and then you feel drained when you get to the heavy bags. No, your trainer is not an idiot. It just means you're not in shape. You got to get in better shape. That's all there is to it. And that's just how it goes. Because if you don't understand how drained you can get in a fight, you're going to have the worst wake-up call that you will do all this training, and then you're going to get to 3rd round of your fight, and you're going to be so gassed. You're going to want to get out of there. So you do have to push yourself like this, and you do have to get in good shape, because you don't want to discover that in the fight. That's the worst wake-up call you can get. All right, let's take one more question. One more question. Eddie Brock, I like that comment. That's good. That's good. Who's my top 5 pound for pound? I don't know if I even have a pound for pound list, but I don't even know if I have it off the top of my head right now. But you know, it's I have a video of my top 10 on my website. But I gotta put. It all depends on the time. I gotta put Roy Jones in there. I gotta put Pernell Whitaker in there. I gotta put Hagler in there. I gotta put Lomachenko in there. He's one of the ones I like. So there's a lot that I really like, and I gotta put Ali in there as well. I know Sugar Ray Robinson is on the list, but I usually only go back to about the 70s. So you know, those are some of my top 5 there. I'd say I got Hagler, I got Pernell, got Mayweather, and Lomachenko. Then you got Pacquiao at his best, Roy Jones. The list is too juicy. The list is too good, but it's a good question. All right. Old school heavyweight versus new school heavyweight. The old school heavyweights had much more skill and talent. but the new school heavyweights are all about size. The size is just much bigger. I mean, we're talking, let's say, like from the 2000s till now. So I think that the size is tough to compete with. Like if you're not 6'4", 230, then you can't be like a Chris Bird, or you can't be like a 6'1", 215. You're gonna have a hard time with that. So, but the old school ones definitely had the skill. All right, let's see what else you guys got. Let's do one more question. Oh, someone, Canelo, a fraud and a cheater, biggest lie in the boxing business. Yeah, Canelo is still great. Like Canelo is still a great boxer. And the other thing is that we don't know who else is juicing. It's hard to catch them all at once. And you can almost assume that at that level that a lot of them are doing it, but I'm not accusing anyone. And, it does take away from Canelo a bit, but I still think it's too bad because I still think he could have, he can be great without it. But then again, there's a lot of stuff going on at these top levels that we don't know about. There might be way more people, way more boxers taking it than we realize. Hard to judge. That's true. He did get big. He did gain some size and strength, especially his neck. His neck went double. No, I don't read it afterwards. I don't read it afterwards. That's one thing I like about the live streams is that I can just do it and boom, no editing and it's done. All right, I'm going to do one more question. Let's see what you guys got, and then we'll call it a day. I really appreciate you guys being here. It's been a lot of fun, and we're going to do it next week and the week after. We'll keep going for a couple more weeks, and because definitely it's good to have this discussion and, talk about boxing is one of my favorite things. Yeah, and you guys know, right? Some of you guys got the right stuff. Precision beats speed and timing beats power. Absolutely, no question about it. Okay, somebody asked, how do you do the jump hook like Mayweather? That's a little gazelle hop. I'll break it down for you really quick. Hopefully you guys can see it. So here. So the Mayweather hop. You guys can see this? Let me put the light closer. Okay, the Mayweather jump is, if you do it slow, it's back foot, front foot. That's slow. That's how it works. But when you go fast, it goes in one, like this. But you got to break it down slow. Here's my body. I throw the right hand, or I fake or whatever. Back foot, front foot, and body turns. That's the, it's not front foot, back foot. No, it's back foot, front foot. But when you do it fast, it goes here. Okay, so as for if you want to do the little gazelle hop and you want to practice it, you got to move your back foot first, and then as your front foot goes forward, your body rotates. So it goes back foot, front foot, back foot, front foot. Okay, you got to get that down. Then once you get that down, and once you start doing it faster and faster and faster, it seems like one jump, like boom. But it's not a jump. It's not the same time like a jump, like where both feet push even. No, that's not a jump like that. And it's not the front foot and then the back foot. It's back front, and then as you pick it up, it looks like this. But if you were to go really slow, you would see back foot is moving first before the front foot. So that's how you do the little gazelle, like what you see Mayweather did against Marquez in the second round when he knocked him down. Boom, you do a little, and the back foot moves. So you could step with the front foot and then back front. So there's a few different ways to do it, but if you're going to do it from a stop position, it's the back foot and the front foot goes. All right, you guys, it was great hanging with you, talking some boxing. I will see you Saturday if you're here for the workout Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern. And those are all on my website, precisionstriking.com. And also for the live Q&A, I'll see you guys here next week, 11 a.m. Eastern. It's a lot of fun. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.